Have you ever wondered why some people stay consistent no matter what, while others give up after a few days? Well, there's one psychological hack that forces you to stay consistent, whether you like it or not. The problem isn't motivation. It's not even discipline. The real issue? Your brain is wired to resist consistency, unless you use this psychological trick. Without it, you'll always struggle with procrastination, self-doubt, and giving up too soon. In this video, I'll show you how one simple shift, used by Navy SEALs, top CEOs, and even ancient warriors, can reprogram your brain to stay consistent effortlessly. If you master this, you'll finally stop quitting on your goals. Let's dive in. We've all been there. You start something new, a workout plan, a side hustle, a daily habit. You're fired up. Day 1, you feel unstoppable. Day 2, still motivated. Day 3, a little less energy, but you push through. Then life gets in the way. A busy schedule, unexpected distractions, a rough day, and you tell yourself, I'll skip just this once. But that just once turns into 2 days, then a week. Before you know it, you've fallen into the same cycle, starting strong, losing momentum, and ending up back where you started. And each time, it gets harder to believe in yourself. But what if I told you there's a mental switch that can make consistency automatic? A secret weapon that forces you to show up, even on your worst days, without relying on motivation, willpower, or sheer discipline. This isn't just some theory. It's the same psychological trick used by elite athletes, Navy SEALs, Fortune 500 CEOs, and even ancient warriors to stay committed to their goals no matter what. Let me introduce you to the psychological commitment hack, a strategy that hijacks your brain's natural tendencies and forces you to stay consistent. And it all starts with a story. Let me tell you about a guy named David Goggins. If you don't know him, Goggins is one of the toughest men alive, a former Navy SEAL, ultramarathon runner, and best-selling author. But if you met him in his early 20s, you wouldn't believe it. At 24 years old, he was overweight, depressed, and stuck in a dead-end job as an exterminator, killing cockroaches for minimum wage. Every morning, he'd wake up exhausted, look in the mirror, and feel like a failure. He hated his life, but every time he tried to change, he'd quit. He tried working out, but he'd give up after a few days. He tried dieting, but one cheat meal would turn into a binge. He tried waking up early, but when the alarm rang, he'd hit snooze. Every single time, he started strong, but then he quit. Sound familiar? That same frustrating cycle happens to all of us. We start a goal with motivation, but then life throws obstacles our way, and we slowly lose momentum until we give up. One night, Goggins came home from work, looked at his 297-pound body, and realized something terrifying. If he kept living like this, he was going to die unfulfilled. That's when he made a decision. He was going to become a Navy SEAL. What did he want? Goggins set an insane goal. He wanted to become one of the world's most elite warriors. But there was one problem. To even qualify for SEAL training, he needed to lose 100 pounds in just 3 months. Doctors said it was impossible. Friends told him to be realistic. But Goggins didn't care. This wasn't about fitness. This was about proving to himself that he could be more. Why couldn't he get it? Every time he tried to stay consistent, his mind turned against him. This is too hard. You'll never make it. You're not built for this. SEALs are born, not made. One missed day won't hurt. You can start again tomorrow. Sound familiar? That's the same voice inside all of our heads. It's the voice that whispers, just skip the gym today. You've worked hard. Relax for a bit. This goal is too big. Just settle. And every time we listen to it, we lose our consistency. Goggins failed over and over again. He'd start a brutal workout routine, but after a few days, he'd quit. His brain kept looking for the easy way out. But then, one day, he discovered something that changed everything. The psychological hack that changed everything. Goggins realized something most people never figure out. You can't rely on motivation because motivation fades. You can't rely on discipline alone because willpower runs out. But you can rely on identity because once you believe something about yourself, your actions follow automatically. At first, he was just trying to lose weight, but that mindset made quitting easy. He was just trying to become a SEAL, but that gave him an escape route. So he changed the way he saw himself. He stopped trying and started being. He made a commitment contract with himself, one so powerful that breaking it wasn't an option. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to be a SEAL," he said, "I'm a disciplined person. I am someone who never quits. I am already a SEAL. My actions just need to match my identity." That one shift changed everything. Because when your identity changes, your habits automatically follow. Think about it. A smoker trying to quit says, "I'm trying to stop smoking." They'll probably relapse. A non-smoker says, "I don't smoke." They never even consider it. Your brain hates acting out of alignment with your identity. So when Goggins told himself, "I am already a SEAL," skipping workouts wasn't an option, because that's not what a SEAL does. When he wanted to hit snooze, he asked himself, "Would a SEAL sleep in?" No. Then get up. When he wanted to quit a workout, he asked, "Would a SEAL stop now?" No. Then keep going. This simple mental shift forced him to stay consistent. Not because of motivation, not because of discipline, but because it was who he was. And that's the same hack you can use in your life right now. Here's why this works. Psychologists call this identity-based consistency. It's based on a powerful concept in psychology called cognitive dissonance. The mental discomfort you feel when your actions don't match your identity. Your brain hates inconsistency. It craves alignment between who you believe you are and what you do. For example, if you tell yourself, "I am an athlete," skipping a workout doesn't just feel like a missed session. It feels like you're betraying yourself. If you say, "I am a writer," not writing doesn't just mean you're procrastinating. It feels like you're not being true to who you are. If you identify as a disciplined person, quitting isn't an option, because quitting would mean proving yourself wrong. Your identity locks you into consistency, because your brain has a deep need to act in alignment with what it believes to be true. This is why people who identify as vegans don't struggle to avoid meat. It's just not who they are. This is why religious people don't wake up debating if they should follow their faith. It's embedded in their identity. This is why Navy SEALs don't hope to be disciplined. They're disciplined. It's part of their core self. When Goggins told himself, "I am already a SEAL," his actions had no choice but to follow. His workouts weren't optional. His discipline wasn't a temporary challenge. It was just who he was. And the best part? You can apply this hack to anything. Want to stay consistent with the gym? Stop saying, "I need to work out." Start saying, "I am an athlete." Want to build a business? Stop saying, "I'm trying to be an entrepreneur." Start saying, "I am an entrepreneur." Want to read more? Don't say, "I should read." Say, "I am a reader." Once you shift your identity, your brain will naturally push you to act in a way that aligns with it. Consistency won't feel like a struggle. It will feel like the only option. The 3-step process to force consistency. You struggle to stay consistent. We all do. There's a 3-step process that can force you to stay consistent, no matter what. Think about it. How many times have you started something, a workout plan, a side hustle, a habit, only to quit after a few days? You don't lack motivation. You don't lack discipline. You lack a system that makes quitting impossible. I'll break down a 3-step process used by the most disciplined people in the world. A system so powerful that once you apply it, staying consistent won't be a choice, it will be automatic. We've all been there. You start with fire in your heart, a vision in your mind. The first few days, you're on top of the world. But then life happens. You miss one day, then another. Suddenly, the motivation fades, and you're back to square one. But here's what high achievers understand. They don't rely on motivation. They don't rely on willpower. They rely on systems. And today, I'm going to show you the exact 3-step process that forces consistency, even when you don't feel like it. Let me tell you about a guy named James Clear, the best-selling author of Atomic Habits. Before he became one of the world's top experts on habits, James was just like you and me, struggling to stay consistent. He wanted to become a successful writer, but every time he tried, he'd start strong, then quit. What did he want? He wanted to write every day and build an audience. Why couldn't he get it? Because life got in the way. He was busy, tired, distracted, and every time he skipped a day, the guilt built up until he gave up entirely. If he couldn't stay consistent, he would never build the career he dreamed of. Through research, he discovered a simple but powerful process, one that he used to write every day until he built Atomic Habits, one of the best-selling self-improvement books of all time. Step 1. Make it a non-negotiable. You don't try to brush your teeth. You don't hope to take a shower. You just do it. Why? Because those actions are non-negotiable. They are part of your daily routine, so deeply ingrained in your identity that skipping them would feel unnatural. That's the secret to forcing consistency. You must stop treating your goal as an option and start treating it as an essential part of who you are. The identity shift. Most people fail at consistency because they treat their goals as something they do rather than something they are. If you say, "I'm trying to work out," your brain sees it as optional. But if you say, "I'm an athlete, I don't miss workouts," skipping exercise feels like a betrayal of who you are. This works for any goal. Don't say, "I'll try to write today." Say, "I'm a writer. Writers write." Don't say, "I'm trying to be productive." Say, "I'm a high-performance individual who gets things done." Don't say, "I should eat healthy." Say, "I am someone who fuels my body with the best nutrition." How this changes everything. The moment you attach your goal to your identity, your brain starts working to keep you in alignment with that identity. For example, a smoker finds it hard to quit because their identity is, "I am a smoker." A non-smoker doesn't struggle to avoid cigarettes because their identity is, "I don't smoke." When you shift your mindset from doing to being, your actions follow automatically. The litmus test. Make it feel as essential as breathing. Imagine someone told you to stop brushing your teeth for a week. You'd feel uncomfortable, right? That's how your habits should feel when you miss them, like something is off. Here's how to test if your goal is non-negotiable. If skipping a workout feels relieving, you're treating it as optional. If skipping a workout feels wrong, you've ingrained it into your identity. The key is repetition. Every time you act in alignment with your identity, you reinforce it. So, starting today, stop saying "I'll try." Start saying "I am." Make your goal as essential as brushing your teeth. Live in alignment with your new identity, until quitting is no longer an option. This is the first step to forcing consistency. Because when it's who you are, consistency is automatic. Step 2. The 2-minute rule. Most people fail at consistency not because they lack motivation, but because they set goals that are too big, too soon. They get inspired and set massive expectations for themselves. I'll read for 2 hours a day. I'll wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. I'll run 10 miles every day. And for the first few days, they're fired up. But then reality hits. They oversleep. They miss one day, then another. Suddenly, they've quit. Why? Because their goal required too much effort right from the start. The secret? Make it impossible to fail. Enter the 2-minute rule, a concept from James Clear's Atomic Habits. The idea is simple. If a habit takes more than 2 minutes to start, make it smaller. Instead of "I'll read for 2 hours," start with reading 1 page. Instead of "I'll run 10 miles," start with putting on your running shoes. Instead of "I'll meditate for 30 minutes," start with taking 1 deep breath. Why? Because starting is everything. Momentum is the hardest part. Think about this. What's harder? Getting up and going to the gym? Walking inside the gym once you're already there? The hardest part isn't the workout. It's getting started. That's why the 2-minute rule is so powerful. It tricks your brain into action. If you tell yourself to read just one page, chances are you'll keep reading. If you put on your running shoes, chances are you'll go for a run. If you sit down to write for just 2 minutes, chances are you'll keep writing. It's about removing friction. The smaller the starting point, the easier it is to take action. Small actions reinforce identity. When you read one page, you see yourself as a reader. When you lace up your shoes, you see yourself as a runner. When you write a few sentences, you see yourself as a writer. Over time, this builds a habit loop. What starts as 2 minutes becomes 5, then 10, then 30. And before you know it, you're consistent. Your challenge: apply the 2-minute rule today. Want to work out? Just do one push-up. Want to write a book? Just write one sentence. Want to meditate? Just take one deep breath. Make it so easy to start that failure is not even an option. Once you start, momentum takes over. And momentum leads to consistency. Step 3. Use the loss aversion hack. Here's a brutal truth. Humans hate losing more than they love winning. Think about it. If you find $100, you feel good for a moment. If you lose $100, you feel absolutely terrible. That negative emotion is twice as powerful as the happiness from winning. This is called loss aversion, and you can use it to force consistency. Your brain is wired to avoid pain more than it seeks pleasure. So if you attach a painful consequence to failure, your brain will fight to stay on track. The key: make failure hurt. How to apply the loss aversion hack. 1. Accountability bets. Put money on the line. Tell a friend you'll send them $50 if you miss a day. 2. Public commitment. Announce your goal publicly, on social media, in a group chat, or to your friends. Now your reputation is at stake, and your brain will do everything to avoid the embarrassment of failing. 3. Streak tracking. Apps like Streaks, Habitica, or Habitable give you a dopamine rush every time you maintain a streak. Once you see that streak grow, you won't want to break it. 4. The pain jar method. Every time you break your habit, drop $10 into a failure jar. At the end of the month, give it away. It's painful. It works. 5. Accountability partner. Find someone with a similar goal. If one of you skips, the other person gets a reward. This creates mutual pressure, and nobody wants to be the weak link. When quitting comes with a real consequence, you'll think twice before giving up. So, ask yourself, what's the price of failure? Money? Embarrassment? Losing your streak? Make quitting painful, and consistency becomes automatic. So let's recap. Step 1. Make it a non-negotiable. Stop relying on motivation. Make it your identity. Step 2. The 2-minute rule. Start so small that failure is impossible. Step 3. Use loss aversion. Make quitting so painful that you have no choice but to stay consistent. This 3-step process is how the most disciplined people in the world force themselves to stay on track. And if you apply it, consistency won't be a struggle. It will be your default. Now, here's my challenge for you. Which of these 3 steps are you going to apply today? Drop a comment below, and let's make consistency your superpower. If you found this valuable, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because in the next video, I'm going to show you how to rewire your brain for unshakable discipline. Stay strong, stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next one.